Welcome to Tournament in a TeaBreak. It's been day one of Wimbledon. I'm Ros Satar and I'm being joined by
Chris Oddo.
And we've just got back home. It's fairly late, but what a day for all kinds of reasons. Obviously, the first day belongs to the men's champion who opens proceedings on centre court, and everybody was agog at what garb Mr. Federer would walk out on. Was he going to be walking out with backwards on pants? No. Was he going to be walking out with his perfect RF logo? Well, no. He came out beautifully attired in Uniqlo clothing, which came as a surprise to, well, pretty much nobody, actually. So let's just talk a few little numbers that have been bandied around. $300 million over a 10-year contract.
Unbelievable. That's so good, isn't it?
I can't even... 300 million. I can't even get my head around how much that is.
Just to wear something. Or he might do a few more things. He might take a few pictures while wearing the said clothing.
I mean, you have to marvel at the... we always joke, we internet people anyway, always joke about how the press boys and girls get their knickers in a knot over embargoes. And we had to chuckle when the second Roger Federer walked out onto centre court, the head of Uniqlo in the UK announced that he was now going to be the global brand ambassador. At which point, obviously, the PR embargo had been lifted because everybody knew. But at the same time, in a beautiful bit of coordination, which is quite surprising given the flakiness of this website in general, the ATP site had updated Roger in all his Uniqlo glory, which I thought was a particularly nice touch. But anyway.
Good on you for noticing that, Roz. I had not noticed that myself. In fact, I was having trouble getting my bearings. That news really caught me off guard that he had switched to Uniqlo. I mean, of course, we all knew it was likely going to happen, but to do it today on center court, and I was surprised, and I found it to be fun. It was a nice little aside that made the day more interesting.
But now it makes a lot of sense. So we were all Sunday he practiced and then came to press. So his press conference was delayed to 3:30 because he was practicing at 2. And he comes into press in a suit.
In a suit. We should have known something was
weird.
And
everybody was just like, Roger's wearing a suit. And nobody really sort of twigged, and now it makes sense. And he's been practicing in a sort of Laver Cup t-shirt. He has been practicing with his famous RF cap, which you've since learned that Nike owns the RF logo. Although he did say something very interesting in press, that, RF are my initials and it belongs to me and it will come back to me at some stage. Somebody told me that Mirka actually designed it, and obviously somewhere in Nike had run with the design, and so I think there's a few legal unentanglements.
I suspect he'll have to pay a bit of a sum to get that back, but I hope in the long run that he does get it back for the sake of his fans, his loyal fans, right? That love that logo, and it's the most ubiquitous logo at these tennis tournaments. You see it everywhere. You see journalists wearing RF stuff.
I know that, which is just ridiculous. But I mean, I had to giggle because what are all these RF-clad Federer fans going to do with all their... You've got to feel sorry for them, because some of these people have got like every kit from every slam imaginable. They've got the whole range. I think, what was it you once described it as last year when we saw a colleague dressed up as Rafa? Is is he going to tag team him in the middle of a match and say, hey, come on in and play for me because, my little pinky hurts. Yeah, I mean, these fans will have dropped a lot of monkey pounds on this kit.
Yeah.
You got to feel for them in some way, because this isn't like a lower ranked player. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I think Argo was originally with Reebok and then went to Lotto. This isn't like a lower ranked player that was with a fairly good brand but not a particularly high standing brand that went to another good tennis brand. You're talking about somebody who actually probably made Nike a lot of money with that particular branding and that particular franchise.
Yeah, for sure.
But yes. Oh, and he played tennis pretty well as well, didn't he?
No, nobody watched that. We were all busy trying to figure out the details of his Uniqlo deal and waiting for him to finish that match, which was pretty one-sided.
Yeah.
And did anybody actually watch it from
I
start to
can't
finish?
even remember who he was playing. Oh, Lajovic, that was it.
But as it turns out, Federer now is going to make about $97.5 million annually, including endorsements and prize money. Well, the prize money will fluctuate. You know what's interesting to me about this deal, before we leave this subject, is that Federer is 36. This is a deal not necessarily, a 10-year deal, not necessarily for a player, but for a player who's going to retire and be transitioning. So it's going to be really kind of interesting to see how they make this deal play out over the next 10 years, because certainly he's not going to be playing Wimbledon when he's 46 or even 41, we would guess.
No, I mean, there's got to be either a very generous exit clause for him, or something that ties him into some kind of involvement with tennis long after he retires, because that's a serious amount of money to drop for 10 years for somebody that's, at the pinnacle, admittedly, but at the end of his career.
Yep.
So yeah. But there was a lovely moment in Serena's press where somebody had sort of said to her, because one of the things that Federer said, I think a lot of players who've got kids have said it actually, they want to play for as long as their kids are at an age where they get what mummy or daddy is doing on court. Andy said it, Federer said it. He was very sweet, because he sort of described the boys, and he was like, kind of, well, they know that I play tennis a lot, and they know that if I do it really well, there's like kind of a trophy in there somewhere, and they're super excited about the trophies. But they don't really, they wouldn't understand my ranking. So obviously his girls are of an age where they probably understand that if daddy's had a bad day, maybe just leave him alone for a bit. Whereas the lads probably don't. So somebody said to Serena, are you going to keep playing until Olympia actually understands it? And she was like, oh my God, how much longer is this man planning on playing? Because I'm going to have to quit when he does.
Yeah.
But Serena's comeback was perhaps a little less cut and dried as Roger's opening match. She was tested by Arantxa Rus quite effectively. I was watching her, and she seemed off balance a lot of times. Where you would normally have a real fluid action, she seemed to be kind of off kilter for her forehand and backhand. There were signs of the old Serena there, with some decent stab volleys and some great stuff at the net. But she is the princess of playing herself into form. I think that's what she's going to have to do, because it wasn't as convincing. I think she's lucky that she had somebody that she could actually sort of beat fairly convincingly, but I don't know. She's got a couple of easy rounds, so she can get herself going.
Yeah, well, not surprising at all that she'd be rusty or wouldn't be that smooth, but still able to get by in a relatively uncomplicated fashion. I mean, she makes the transition from clay, where she had to pull out of Roland Garros and go home, to grass, where she hasn't played at all but probably practiced a lot. It's got to be difficult even when you're Serena. So just to be able to get through that, to hit 115 on the serve is nice.
Yeah.
That's kind of close to top speed, and I think it'll probably only get faster from here. So
yeah, I mean, this was the first real test about the pec muscle. As I said, she's the expert in playing herself into form. So I'm not too worried until we get to maybe Keys and Manic Monday.
That's a nice one to target. I mean, we already saw Svitolina get bounced out of that little mini section of the draw, so it's Tomova and then possibly Maria or Mladenovic. Looks like, I would guess, smooth sailing if Serena plays better and better each round to get to Manic Monday.
Yep, okay. And you touched on some of the shock scattered seeds for the day.
Quite a few shocks on Monday.
I mean, there were quite a few, but we'll focus on what we think were the top four. I mean, let's start with Svitolina. There's something. She's incredibly consistent. Nobody's going to argue that. She's won some very good titles. She's been able to back it up. She backed up the Rome title. And she looked a nailed-on favourite for Roland Garros. I was convinced after the first few rounds that actually Halep was toast and that Svitolina was going to walk it, and then she got Buzanescu'd. And this curse of her not being able to translate that same consistency on the tour when it comes to a slam. I just don't get it. And it's not even like sometimes Nadal will crush people in the early rounds, but as soon as he comes up against a lot more established and a lot more experienced players, it starts to get real. Whereas Svitolina's like the anti-Nadal.
Honestly,
in that she just falls apart to anybody. She could fall apart to a ball boy with a racket.
I don't know how Svitolina is set up to be long-term. I honestly don't know. I mean, I think this was her 24th slam without making a
But
semi.
how can she be 24 slam? I mean, she must have been playing when she was like 5 years old, for God's sake.
Yeah, true. 6 years worth of majors for her.
That's shocking.
But I think... I just don't know where she's headed long term. Like, will she be able to stay in the top 10? Of course. She's very talented, and she's a great fighter and a great striker of the ball and a great defender. But has she really gone out and developed the weapon that she needed, maybe on the serve or on the forehand side? I'm not so sure. I think she's always going to be suspect at these tournaments where everybody plays their best. But hats off to Tatiana Maria, who kind of parlayed at her first career title in Mallorca and is still playing well here in Wimbledon. A lot of times you don't see that. You see the people come out with, a title earlier in the grass season, they flop here. So nice win for her.
Well, here's my question to you. Is Svitolina going down the same kind of path as Wozniacki did at the sort of start of her career, where she was incredibly consistent, was a permanent presence on the tour, got to number one, even reached a couple of slam finals, which is something that Svitolina has yet to come even close to, before she finally made her breakthrough many, many, many years later in terms of slam titles in Australia this year? Is Svitolina destined to go down that kind of path? Because right now, she has slamless number one written all over her.
I don't think she has number one written all over her. I think Wozniacki would be best case scenario for her. I don't know why. I really love her, her fight, her mentality, and a lot of things about her game, but I just don't see like a lot of upside.
And you don't see her coming anywhere near the number one spot. Even allowing for the volatility of
not in today's tour, but there's too many good players. I mean, if she really can do it, I mean, she's up there pretty close. You got to give her a lot of credit. She's a top 5 player. I shouldn't talk down on her, right? But I don't see it. That's where I'm going to make my bet.
Well,
now.
Okay, I'll give you that. I mean, she's had many a chance to grab the number one spot, and the people that have in the melee after Serena sort of stepped away to have Olympia, have been consistently Halep, Wozniacki, Pliskova, and Muguruza. Svitolina's always been in that mix, but she's never actually grabbed it. All of those have. And right. I'll count Wozniacki in there because obviously she had a big resurgence and came back up the rankings and finished at quite a click.
Well, you know what? They've all picked up 2,000 points at a big major, and that's how you do it. That's how you get ranked number one these days. So.
Except for Pliskova. Pliskova is now the only slamless number one.
She got that U.S. Open final. And was it around that time that she got up to number one?
No, she got number. She picked up number one by accident here after she'd gone out in the second round.
She did.
Yeah. So, but it still counts. In talking of slams and slam winners and not quite number one, Sloane Stephens, I think, was a surprise. Well. It was a surprise loss to me, but I think you called it last night because you said that she rarely does good back-to-back slams.
Yeah, I was hopeful that she might with that draw. It's beautiful in her section, and it really was and still is a nice opportunity. It might be Donna Vekic's opportunity now, though, which would be really a fun story. Vekic and Wawrinka for the title. Power couple.
Okay, before I vomit in my dustbin... Well, nicely segued, actually. So Wawrinka, on one leg, a la Halep in Australia, manages to take out Dimitrov, and we touched on this yesterday. And you poo-pooed the idea, saying, Wawrinka's been playing really badly. But hey, Dimitrov looks like a little lost boy at the moment. He doesn't really know what... Yeah, he looks a little bit punch drunk. It's like he went out and nicked his dad's liquor key.
He's been there before.
And he's been swigging away, and now he's got the mother of all hangovers, and he really doesn't know what to do to fix it. I mean, what's wrong with that?
That's our Grigor. Wait. Tune back in the next year, and he'll be in the semifinals of a major in a fifth set. And probably lose in heartbreaking fashion. He's a hell of a player when he's at his best. He's a magical kind of player. But yeah, he fumbles around and gets in these crazy, quirky, where you just can't find ways to win.
Did Rafa break him in Australia? And since then, he's just been this shell of a husk of a man?
I think so. I think he he gave his best punches there, and they weren't effective enough, and that might have been in a sense demoralizing to him, where he had to retreat for a little bit. You can only do it for so long unless you're one of these giants at the top of the game, one of these Rafa, Roger type, and Novak type of ATP players. You know, for the rest, it's tough to maintain it. Nice win for Stan. Here I am always saying nice win for the other guy, but Stan's got Fabiano next, and then the Tsitsipas Donaldson winner. Could Stan play a good Wimbledon? Could this be the turning point for him back to the Stanimal? Don't think so, huh? 6-9 on the season.
And I just think, again, as with Djokovic at Roland Garros, I just think it's slammed too soon for him.
Yeah, I know, but I'm thinking this is always
But it could be a turning point for the rest of the year.
To get onto the hard courts and maybe be a beast again. I mean, he does show some glimmers of like that beautiful, beastly tennis.
He definitely did today.
Yeah.
I mean, we were watching, and we took our eyes away for 1 minute. It was like, whoa, what happened here? But while we're talking of whoa, what happened here? Obviously, Federer's conqueror in Halle, born in Chorich, there was a lot of eyes on him, thinking that he would probably go far. And he didn't. Smoked
by Medvedev, who, as we all know, is pretty good on grass and can be difficult to face because he keeps his drives are flat. He doesn't look like this quintessential grass player, but he kind of creates confusion for other players.
Well, that's because when he turns sideways, he disappears. That boy is so thin.
Very true.
That boy's so thin, he makes Djokovic look chunky. That's how thin Medvedev is.
Yeah, maybe so. But he does pop the serve.
Ninja Medvedev.
Gets close to 130 on the serve, and again, it's one of those twisting serves that seems to like find the grass and skid away. So, but Borna, that sucks. I mean, that's the thing you don't want to do in grass season. Win a title that doesn't. I mean, it matters. It'll always be a good title for him. But win a title early, beat Federer, and then have nothing left. In which he was kind of ailing physically today as well.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's young and he's got plenty of chances, but that will have been a tough loss for him.
Yeah.
Really. So, we have a lot to look forward to on day 2. Let's start with an entire nation of Slam champions. We have Rafael Nadal, obviously the French Open champion, and our reigning Wimbledon champion, Garbine Muguruza, in action. Muguruza, of course, starts with Britain's own Naomi Brody. You got to feel for the Brody bunch, because did you see what I did there?
You're good.
I know. I'm here all week. You have to. I mean, Liam Brody, I thought, did really well today. He stayed with Raonic all the way through that first set. Maybe he was a bit unlucky to lose it in the breaker, I think. Oh no, he got broken in the last game. That was it.
He was right there in the
first.
And
then he lost 12 out of the last 13 games.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, he'll want to look at that and look at his reaction to losing that tough first set.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all a learning experience, right? And Naomi might have a similar experience tomorrow.
I mean, I frustrate my tennis instructor all the time because I'm just like completely obsessed with her backhand, where her non-dominant hand is like clamped to her side. You watch this. It's clamped to her side, and she plays a backhand with no. There's no balance. There's no counterbalance. There's no nothing. It is the most strangest thing. I knew somebody in my tennis class who played her forehands like that. Her hand would be. And we always used to be like, how can you even do that?
It's a very strange shot.
It's an incredibly strange shot, but it is actually quite effective.
No, she's good with it. She can crack it for sure.
But I think it's going to be small margins. It's going to be maybe 1 or 2 breaks in each, and Muguruza is going to do just enough to keep her at bay. It's a rough opener for Naomi. I do feel for her. And Nadal opens against Dudi Sela. And I think this is going to be a rout. I'm going to be generous, and I'm going to give Sela 6 games in 3 sets. What about you?
I think, when was it that didn't Sela upset Murat Safin in Wimbledon in the first or second round? That was probably one of his few Wimbledon wins.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I think everybody seems to be really excited about Rafa, probably because he just won Roland Garros again, and like it's kind of still fresh in our memories how amazing he is there, and everybody's kind of dying to see him have a decent Wimbledon, and of course it's been since 2011 since he made the quarterfinals, and I think most people think that there's a good shot for him to do it this year. So let's get it started right. And
well, the other thing is, of course, with the weather having been as it is,
might as well be in Mallorca here.
Well, exactly. The the grass is scorched. Not that scorched because we had quite a few nasty little spills. But it's playing very quick, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a feeling that Rafa likes it. He said he felt the grass was a little bit longer in his pre-tourney press conference. And if whether it is or not, and of course the grounds people will vehemently deny that it's any longer than 8 millimeters. And I think I talked to Neil Stubley, the groundsman, the other day, and he said, I asked him, how long is the grass at the end of the day? And he says maybe a fraction, maybe 8.17 millimeters. I'm getting off the subject, but I think Rafa might like these conditions, and we're hoping that he does. And if he does, and if he's comfortable, we all know he needs to kind of find a way to get in that second week where he does like the conditions better because he likes that dirt under his feet rather than slippery grass.
Yeah.
And who knows? He could have a shot here.
Well, as I said, I mean, the grass has been slippery. There's been a few tumbles. So let's hope that our resident ankle roller, Simona Halep, doesn't do herself a mischief. She is back in action. She hasn't been anywhere near the green stuff either since lifting her maiden slam. She's slated to meet Jo Konta in the 4th round. So it'll be interesting to see how she does. I mean, she's against Kurumi Nara, who's had a disaster of a year. So I don't think it's going to be a tough one for Halep. I think she's going to come coasting through that really rather nicely. What do you reckon?
I think so. It probably will be challenging for her to get back on the grass after so much has happened in her life.
Slow start, maybe?
I would suspect she'll not be scintillating. But
Okay.
I think she gets through. She's a fighter. She'll find a way. I'm predicting an ugly match.
Okay. Many people's favourite for the title, Petra Kvitova, starts off again today. I mean, I want to see her play, obviously, but right now, I definitely put her in as a favourite.
I think so. I think a lot of people are feeling that it could be Petra's time again. I mean, she's awesome here. She's amazing on this grass, and she's amazing in general. Since she's come back from that horrific injury, she's been nothing but like an inspiration. And I hope she continues to be here at Wimbledon because it'll be a great storyline to follow for the next week and a half.
Oh, for sure. Maybe a slightly less intriguing, but no doubt interesting story to follow will be how Sharapova does. Obviously, last year she took herself out of the running for any kind of wild card after the French denied her a wild card. There's none of the intrigue that we thought we'd see in Paris, where she could meet with Serena or any other person that resents her coming back. So it's going to be interesting to see her do it, because ever since that 2004 breakthrough, she's not really performed here.
No,
it's strange.
I don't think she's played here since 2015, right? So so this will be a fresh start for her. She's got the candy store up there, in the village. That's probably
obsessed with that candy store.
I need to stop there tomorrow morning.
But you can't though, because it won't be open. But
Sugar
it won't be open if you carry on, if you leave that early.
Oh boy!
So you might end up having to leave with me anyway.
There could be a link between that Sharapova pop-up and her success at Wimbledon this year, and we're going to keep an eye on that very closely.
There are Brits, of course, in action. We have Kyle Edmund, Johanna Konta and Heather Watson at the sort of top of the tree as the main draw bodies. And we have a raft of wildcards. Obviously, Naomi Brody leading a whole load of them. We have high hopes for Kyle and for Jo to at least make it to Manic Monday.
Very high hopes. Kyle will have a tougher time getting
because he's got to get past Djokovic. I mean, there's no reason why Konta can't get to a 4th round clash, I believe, with Simona Halep. And then if she comes through that, she ends up with Kvitova. And I think I said before, I don't see her going past the quarterfinal in Kvitova's form right now. And if she was of the kind of ilk as she was last year, if she faces Halep, then I would put her to beat Halep again. But her confidence is coming back. It is coming back, but confidence is a fickle lover, and it's slow, and it seems that it's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back for her. She'll get a couple of wins. She'll seem to be confident, and then she'll hit a tricky player that maybe she hasn't played before, which isn't good for her first round, because she'll be playing a first timer. I think if she gets through a couple of rounds, that will help. If she if she goes walkabout, then it could end very.
Her whole
nastily.
season could blow up. I mean,
Yeah.
I think this is the part of the season where she derives her confidence from. She really needs to get some wins here, and kind of like, whether she ends up going very deep or not, I think she needs a few wins, a few convincing wins to take to the hard courts, because she's kind of in a little bit of a shaky ground right now.
Well, I mean, talking of shaky ground, Heather Watson as well. I think she's defending third round points here. She can play well on grass. Her confidence is maybe a little bit further back from Conta's. It is coming back again slowly, but whereas when she lost in Birmingham, she felt that she was doing the right things, and it was a tight match that she lost, and there was no shame to losing a very tight match. When she lost in Eastbourne, I think it was a match that she could have won, and she just was very much down on herself. It's not an easy start for her as well. She's got a very informed Kirsten Flipkins, who comes off the back of a good run as well. So it's going to be tough, I think. And obviously Naomi Brody leads the rest of the wild cards. We had a great result with Katie Swan taking out Irina Kamina Begu. And taking out really, really well. I think if we do see a winner out of Wildcard City, I would fancy it would be Gabriella Taylor to put one over Eugenie Bouchard. That's my pick for the surprise.
Certainly achievable. At this
I'm
point
trying to think who Bolter's got.
Career.
Bolter has... I can't remember now off the top of my head. Who's this? Where are we? Bear with us.
Sepede Rug?
Oh, yes. Sepede Rug. Yeah, Bolter could win that. The Paraguayan doesn't have a great record on the turf, so we might come away with 3, if we include Joe in that as well.
I'd like to see Heather get an upset.
I
really
really would.
like Heather Watson as a person.
I would like to see her get the win. I just think that Flip's in form right now. Yeah. She's coming off the back of a final or a win, I can't remember now.
She loves it here. This is a special place for her.
Yeah, former semi-finalist here. So it's going to be tough. However, we will guide you through it, dear listeners. We will be back tomorrow to assess how day 2, otherwise known as the rest of the first round, went. We'll have another look at how many seeds were scattered. And what we can look forward to in round 2. But until then, I'm looking at a pile of ironing. What are you looking at? What are you looking at?
I'm going to get into reading some stories here about what happened today, what I missed.
Okay. All right. Till then, you've been listening to Ros Satar.
And Chris Oddo.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.